Hey, everybody, welcome to the nation. I'm JT, along with Hall of Famer Leanne Whippen, coming to you from our Turn It, Don't Burn It studios, respectively, across the country. We'd like to thank the Oregon Dungeness Crab Commission and Painted Hills Natural Beef for supporting our shows here. Well, she's back. Chef Steph from I Can Cook That. We haven't seen her for a while. She was kind of gimpy, I'll put it that way. But she's healed up and she's rolling. Steph, how are you?
I'm literally healed up. Yes.
So
That's good.
you're okay? You can walk and run and throw things at the husband and all that stuff?
I don't know about running, but the other stuff, yes.
Okay.
And more importantly, she can cook.
Yeah, oh yeah, she can cook.
Yes. Yes. It's amazing when you are not mobile, what other parts of the business you try to work on.
That's right. That's right. Keep your butt in that chair, and all of a sudden, social media, you pay a little more attention to it and stuff. I know.
Mhm.
So, what have you been doing? We haven't had you on for a year or so. So, I was checking that out. And what's been going on with Chef Steph?
Well, I've been, like I said, not very mobile. I'm not in the kitchen as much. So I've really, I Can Cook That was, I think we talked about this the last time, the difference between cooking and baking, which is why I'm not, I Can Bake That because, I never measure anything. I'm just kind of like, oh, I wonder what this flavor profile will do. So I really started using this time to kind of hone in and make some recipes so I could create some digital downloads, digital cookbooks. I've been working on my getting my reels on Instagram into a little bit better of a place. So really just kind of back end stuff, trying to put things together so that all the people that are not as skilled in the kitchen have, a more of a directional guide that they can start to follow. So I had to do something, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you learn?
What did I learned a lot. I mean, if you look at I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but if you look at my Instagram page from a year or 2 years ago, it was really pretty bad because I had no idea how to edit. I didn't know how to do a lot of the things. And in comparison to what you see on Instagram, like how beautiful some of the content really is, mine was always just kind of dusty and dirty. So what I've learned is diving into getting better at my content creation. I still have a way to go, but I feel like I've really learned more of the digital side of content as opposed to just cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would submit to you, and I think Leanne would probably agree with me, that I think you did it the right way versus we see a lot of people, and I'm sure all of our feeds and stuff are different for the most part, but you see a lot of people that really aren't that skilled, but they make great videos. They've got the aspect of the editing and the sound and stuff down, but the content isn't that deep. I would rather see somebody that's really far into the cooking and not afraid to try new flavor profiles and things. And I'm very forgiving, kind of growing up in this business a bit. If their editing skills aren't, Academy Award winning like that.
Which is probably one of the reasons we've been friends for so long.
So what have you been working on though? I mean, give us some particulars. Anything you've created that you went, wow, that is really good.
As far as like the digital products or as far as the actual like new flavors.
New flavors.
I'm trying to think. Not so much. I've been really playing around with sous vide and then smoking and then meal prep type things. So not so much on the new flavors as so much as honing in and perfecting that. Because what I learned not being mobile is that meal prep was really like one of my best friends now. A lot of people do it for diet or, whatever the reason is, but I was to a point where it was like, okay, I can get in for a couple hours and start knocking out some creative things. So I did like a sous vide duck breast that I smoked, and then I froze, and then I chilled it down. And so, like, when you think meal prep, you think of ideas that are maybe bland, right? Everybody's like, oh, I have bags of trail mix, and I have trays of celery sticks, and I maybe have some chicken that doesn't bore me. But I really started learning and creating new recipes for elevated meal prep, so that if you do find yourself not being able to move around, you're not a prisoner of having to like be doing Grubhub and Uber Eats and all of the things, that you do when you're sedentary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, where I live, Grubhub comes on a camel, so it's okay. But that leads me to a question for you, Leanne. When
Mm.
you're creating something, what do you find over the years of doing it that it actually inspires you? Is it something that you're working on something you've done 100 times and you went, what if I did this? What if I added more cilantro or orange juice, or it doesn't matter? But how does that inspiration come to you? Is it just kind of an aha moment, or is it something you plan? Because you do a lot.
Yeah, it's aha moment. And it's not just about flavors, it's about techniques too. And I'll give you just a recent example of um, pasta. Okay. You have that pretty much ready to eat pasta that you can get at Sam's Club. And rather than just tossing it in, in boiling water and throwing a sauce on it, dipping it in egg and coating it with breadcrumbs and baking it and then turning it into an appetizer, things like that. So it's sometimes a combination of technique and flavors. There's a lot of spices out there. And I'm not just talking barbecue spices. I'm talking about just, like rosemary, garlic spices, cilantro, lime spices, and those combination of flavors inspire me sometimes. Um, so that's a couple examples.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. All the stuff that the like I call it the weird stuff that I do, but all of the weird stuff I do is usually coming out of like, how do I create this into a hack, or how do I create this into a shortcut? Like, I'm a big fan when you talk about pasta. I am a huge fan of the cold water method, and also par cooking it in advance when I have a break in my day, and then literally I don't have to save the starch water. So I
Mhm.
realized if I par cook it, there's so much starch that still explodes, that I can do shortcuts like that. So yeah, I love what you said.
Mhm.
You guys finish the show. I'm gonna go cook some pasta and dip it in egg and stuff. So that that makes me really hungry. Well, I just think that creative cooks, and whether you're at a grill or a smoker or in the kitchen or wherever, I think when they see something and it kind of strikes their fancy, if you will, I think those are the people that are on the road to being a great cook if they follow that. And sometimes they don't work. I've made dishes many times that I thought, well, man, this is really going to be good. And it kind of comes out like, yeah, you can eat it. It tastes okay, but it's nothing that really lights you up. And in the flavors, and say, yeah, I want to do that again. I want to serve that at my next party, you know.
I think that happens to everyone. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I'm like, man, I thought this was going to be so good, and I'll dump it. And my husband just looks at me like I'm nuts, you know. Like, I gotta
Mhm.
make it again. No, that wasn't good. I gotta do it
Yeah.
again.
My biggest tasting where I see the results is my wife's kind of quiet. Leanne's met her. I mean, she's kind of a
Mhm.
quiet person. And every once in a while, she'll look at me at dinner and she'll go, this is really good. And I think, okay, I got something there. And then other
Mhm.
times I'll say, how's the food? It's okay. So when I get that, it's okay. It's like, no, that's going down to the end of the counter there. It's not coming back. So anyway, I just think I think people that are serious about their cooking and wanting to expand their cooking vocabulary, uh, I think they do get inspired by different things. So that's just me. Unless you're playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then there's nothing
Oh,
nothing's going to inspire you right now. So,
no.
so Steph, are you a Rams or Chargers fan? Or maybe you're not a fan of football at all.
Oh Lord, I play the fifth. I guess, it's funny that you asked me that. Actually, I'm not a football fan. I'm sorry. It's just not my thing. But I should. It's funny you said Rams or Chargers because I'm initially from St. Louis. Is that why you said that?
Well,
Well,
yeah, so that would be,
Oh,
then you'd be a Rams fan.
I guess I
yeah,
am.
yeah. Well, Leanne, she's a diehard kind of Bucks fan, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and her friend John is a Rams guy, and I'm a
although I
Kansas.
am loving the Ravens. The Ravens are hot.
Ravens are hot, and I'm a
Yeah.
Kansas City. Even though I didn't grow up there or anything, I
Mhm.
just like the Chiefs. So
So, Steph, even though you aren't a football fan, I feel like people come together, even if they don't like the sport, when it comes to the World Series, et cetera, and they have their parties. Do you have any recipes that you can think of that would be great for Super Bowl
Yeah,
and
actually,
tailgating?
I came up with one. It was a while ago, and actually, I thought it was going to be like one of those things where people looked at me like I was crazy, but they actually liked it. I came up with, so for potato skins, doing a like a hot wing buffalo chicken. The chicken was boneless,
Mm,
but buffalo chicken potato skin with like a drizzle of ranch on it. So that's kind of fun. And
that sounds
then
good.
there was, I think it was for Pit Boss several years ago. I did football sliders. So I stuffed ground beef with cheese, and then I made the little football, stitching
Laces, yeah.
out
Mhm.
of hatch chilies. And then
Oh,
I smoked those and served that at a party. And I had like a whole, football spread. It was pretty fun.
there you go. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back, and I have got a question for the ages when we get back. You're listening to Barbecue Nation. Stay with us. Welcome back to the nation. Appreciate everybody taking time to listen to our show and letting us into your world. I'm JT along with Leanne Whippen. She's a Hall of Famer. I'm just a hall monitor. So we can do that. So the big question is, what is the deal with calling chicken nuggets boneless wings? That drives me nuts. There's not a bone in sight because it's just chicken parts. It's that old commercial you say parts is parts. And so they, even the buffalo wings and the wing store or whatever you have in your area, there's always boneless wings. They are not wings. First of all,
Sure.
because they're usually made out of chicken breast, and so
Mhm.
I want to get your take on that.
Is this because of that whole potato skin thing? I'm sorry.
No, 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 not at all. You just made me think of it.
I mean, I guess it's just marketing, right? I mean, because there's no such thing as a boneless wing. There's no such thing as a lot of things that people say that there are.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe Leanne has a better answer to that one.
I feel
Uh,
like some of these boneless wings, they really do try to mimic a wing with the skin around. It isn't just a boneless, breast.
yeah.
It's like they are trying to take the bones out of it, however they do it. I mean, come on, look at the McRib sandwich.
Oh God.
Is it really rib meat? Maybe.
It's pressed meat.
Yeah.
I
So
talked to the guy one time that up in North Carolina that made those, and they're pressed meat. University of North Carolina did that, and I've got a brother-in-law who lives for the McRibs when they come out every year or so. He's just
I
like a
think
fun.
there's
I
like a
mean,
whole.
you can really make a true McRib sandwich yourself that is quite good. You have to overcook the ribs, obviously, to pull the bones out, but it is obtainable. And, you know, why wouldn't it be good? Throw rib meat on a sandwich? Sure.
Yeah,
Would
there's a
you?
whole cult following for the McRib.
Oh yeah, but Leanne, as a Hall of Famer in barbecue, would you do that to serve it to
I
people?
have never ever attempted it, but it's not to say that I won't attempt it. I won't
Okay.
put sauce on it. It'll be a dry McRib.
Oh, there you go. A drink rib.
I don't know. We're getting kind of off in the weeds here, but my point
Mhm.
is I just I don't know. I can't, McRib sandwich, I can honestly say I've never had one. I have never eaten one.
Oh,
I have
you
not.
should just experience the dark side. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to offend any,
Um,
anyone, but it's not good. I mean, it's not like
well,
there's nothing about it that says rib.
it's just pork meat slathered in sauce, I think. Because I think they actually put that meat in a press and make it look that way.
Well, the sauce isn't good either. It's very, I don't know.
Okay. Well, okay. So wings in my book have to have bones, and McRibs are McStuff. That's what they should call it. A McStuff
Right.
sandwich like that. So Leanne, speaking of Super Bowl, we do have the Super Bowl coming up in a few weeks here. What is
Mhm.
your favorite thing to put on a Super Bowl spread?
So what I do is I take the two teams that are in the Super Bowl and I do a dish that is indigenous or what they're known for, like buffalo. We do the wings. So I try to incorporate the dishes from the two teams into the meal. So it's different every year.
What do you
That's
do for the
fun.
Rams? Eat
I don't
goat
know.
meat?
It would probably be something Southwest, I don't know because I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
An In-N-Out burger? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got 2 new in and outs coming in up here in Portland. So
Yeah.
I'm really
Why
happy with
not?
it.
You can mimic that.
Yeah. Steph, what about you? What's your go-to thing for party platters, if you will, for like a Super Bowl party?
It just depends really on also who I'm having over because, so many people nowadays are gluten free or they don't eat this, they don't eat that. Like it really
I don't
depends.
have friends like that.
Yeah, smart.
Neither do I.
Sorry, you're not invited.
That's actually really funny. But yeah, I do try and cater to my people. But yeah, if it was just gonna be me, like I love doing pork butt. I love doing pork butt. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. And I
Sure.
think I know it's pretty, you know, easy in the world of barbecue, like compared to like, brisket or that type of thing. But I love a good pulled pork and I love to repurpose it. So I'll do like
Mhm.
a pulled pork and I'll do like carnitas or whatever. And then I've been known to do like pulled pork crunch wraps and, just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
crazy things with all the leftovers. So I think that's one of my favorite things too. Everyone does ribs, everyone does wings. I know a lot of people do the pork butt, but I don't know. There's just something.
It's a long cook. So most people appreciate it and they don't do it at home. So that's always a good go-to
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I
I
think
love it.
And it kind of looks like a football.
It can, absolutely.
well, you can if you can pull all the stuff out and then reform it as a football.
Right.
You
Now
could do
you're
that.
thinking.
You
Now you're
could do
thinking.
that. Yeah, I think it's good. I think, of course, we have a lot of seafood up here. So I usually do one, maybe it's a pork butt, maybe it's some tri tips, maybe it's some ribs. It doesn't really matter. And then I
Mhm.
try to do one seafood thing, and you can do those straight shrimp cocktail with the big jumbos and make your own
Mhm.
sauce or something like that. But I tend to like you, I like to get something in the form of uh, a wrap, if you will, and make it with some shrimp and diced green onions and things like that. I try to get so you got a kind of a really nice cross section of flavors, the shrimp and a little bit of cocktail sauce if they want it, and yet it doesn't just look like you're eating, number 6 at the Chinese menu at your local place there,
Mhm.
that
Also,
type of.
a big bowl of chili is always good to serve, because it's cold in most places, and then you could do
Mhm.
a topping bar, and I like being interactive and having different toppings so people can kind of make it their own. It's fun.
I've done
True.
that with baked potatoes too.
Yeah,
I've done it
great.
with for Super Bowl parties. I'll remember at Christmas I was telling you how you and Meathead how I make the twice bakers, cut them in
Mhm.
half, cook them meat side down, and I'll pull those out and kind of score the meat side of the potato and open them up, and then they can do a topping bar with the potato too. But yet
Yeah.
it's not a whole great big baked potato, so that they just fill up on that and do that. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back with Chef Steph and Miss Whippen, and she's going to tell us about pig powder when we come back. Don't go away. Welcome back to the nation. I'm JT along with Leanne, and Chef Steph is with us today. We thank you for inviting us into your eardrums, or if you watch the videos on this. Pig powder, you got some news?
I do. Pig powder, new labels coming out, kind of modernized them a little bit, but it still has the famous pig that my dad drew years ago, sprinkling himself. Almost looks like a shower of pig powder. But we have spicy pig powder coming out. So I will be ordering my pallets in the next month and I'll make it available on the website on pigpowder.com. And I might even be doing a flash sale just to get it going a little bit quicker because I have a couple cases left. And so you can use BBQ Nation Save to get 10% off.
That
And I will say, I'm not even an affiliate for you. I wish I was, but that is one of my most favorite spices
Oh,
is in
thank
my
you.
cabinet. And I have a lot of spices, and I will tell you, I love it. It is the absolute best.
So I
It's
will
so
tell you
different.
that the Philadelphia Eagles,
oh
their stadium uses pig powder.
really?
It's so
Yes,
good.
they do. They
It's
order
so good.
hundreds
And
of
I use it
pounds of
on,
it.
I've even used it on salmon.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Oh yeah,
delicious on seafood. I used to use it on shrimp at the restaurants. It's great.
it's
yeah.
amazing.
Thank
One
you.
of my favorites.
I didn't know the Eagles used it.
Yes, they do. Mhm.
Got to get Jason Kelsey and to do something with you on
Yeah,
that.
I don't really go there, with them on that note. I just try to keep it strictly biz, but
Right.
it's hard because sometimes I always, when they send the order, I'm like, go Eagles. And I think, well, maybe 2 tickets, but no.
Well, I'm sure if you ask them, they would really.
I don't know. They are good too. Another
Can
great
you
team.
sing?
Can I sing?
Yeah.
No, I cannot sing, dance. I can barbecue. That's about it.
Well, I thought if you could sing, maybe they'd let you come up and do the national anthem at
National
one.
anthem? No, that would not be good.
Maybe one of their preseason games, intramural games,
I
so to
don't
speak.
know. It might go viral though.
Yeah,
It's that bad.
that's good. So, Steph, what do you see out there in the barbecue world? It's been a while since, like I said at the top of the show, since you've been on the show, actually, right?
Mhm.
And so it's been a while since that. A lot of changes. We come through the COVID stuff and the overstocking of where the manufacturers got a little over their skis. They had a lot of grills and smokers and stuff in the warehouse. I think that's kind of leveling out now. Um, but what are you seeing out there with the people you interact with and the companies you interact with as far as the state of the world of barbecue?
I mean, for me, I actually got into barbecue during COVID. Like I was always like, the backyard barbecue girl, but I started really getting into smoking and learning about that during COVID. So for me, I almost feel like that was a time where barbecue was like picking up because people had all day to smoke pork
Mhm.
butts.
Right.
Right.
But what I will say is I had some very specific brands of grills and smokers that I worked on and worked with, and I've branched out to some new lines that I hadn't even heard of that I've been very impressed with. So I feel like there was, there's always like Pit Boss and Traeger, and everybody knows in Green Egg, and everybody knows that. But I mean, there were some brands, and maybe it's just that I don't know all the brands, but there were some brands that I got access to that I was very impressed with. So I'm kind of seeing a shift in some of the new guys or newer guys that don't have the reputation getting out there a little more.
Who were they?
Camp Chef is one that I've been messing around with, and I really like it. Have you used the Camp Chef before?
I have not, but I know Meathead has given it high marks,
Yes, he does.
and
I talked to him briefly about it, but I love it. It's got a sidekick on the side, so you can switch it from, like, if you want to sear something, if you want to griddle something, you can not only is it's pellet, but it also has a built-in area so you can put wood chips in it. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's a really interesting piece of barbecue technology.
Mhm.
Well, that's good though. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm probably due for some upgrades around here, so it's good to know. Might reach out to them. You never
I
know.
feel like some of these smokers and the marketing and everything and what they're coming out with is kind of like cars. The cars come out with the latest technology and it's like, why didn't we see this 5 years ago? And they all have this new thing all in the same year. It's
Uh-huh.
kind of like that way with smokers and technology. If somebody comes out with something, you see it being, in the other brands, they're going to integrate it, which is
Mhm.
great because I mean, obviously, the first one that comes out with it is tested it. So,
Right, right.
Well, and that's exactly it, right? So, like, I had a smoker that had, quote unquote wireless capabilities, but it was terrible. Like, the signal always dropped. Like, if I wasn't standing right next to the smoker, it didn't work on my app. And now that some of these companies have had time to really, test it, get their MVP out,
mhm,
I feel like, a lot of those problems aren't as bad as they used to be.
mhm, I agree.
I'm not one that uses the wireless technologies in that because I'm very close.
Mhm,
Leanne's been here, and I'm very close to where all the cookers are. So I
mhm.
just kind of wander out there and check them frequently like that.
Right.
But I can see where the wireless technologies are important to people, and I understand why they do it. And I think that's a really good thing. Do you ever think that we could overdo the technologies to move us beyond the point of really smoking, grilling, barbecuing to where
Yes, I
it
definitely do because the AI pit masters are coming.
Well, and I think it also depends on who you ask, right? I mean, there's some old school, like, no, I mean, they won't even touch a pellet, it's like, no, if you're not rubbing two sticks together, you're not barbecuing,
right,
I
right,
mean,
right, right.
there's definitely some truth to all different types of barbecue, I believe, anyway. But I think it just depends on who you ask. And I think it's also like dependent on the technology, right? Like launching something before it's really been tested is not, in my opinion, the smartest move.
No,
Mhm.
no. Well, I can remember, well, it's been quite a while now, but because of where I live, I remember when Traeger came out. Okay.
Mhm.
And prior to that, it was all either charcoal or stick burners, and that
Right.
was it. You had gas grills, but of course, the sentiment then was if you're cooking with gas, you're doing strictly for convenience and you're really not barbecuing. Okay. I disagree with that, but that's just
I do too.
my take on things. But
Mhm.
now pellet grills are so common, not just in my neck of the woods, but all over the world that and they're easy and they're quick. You can do they're pretty versatile
Mhm.
for the most part. Sometimes I think we get off the reservation on worrying about being able to sear something at 1100 degrees centigrade,
Mhm.
so it's got to be on there
Mhm.
4 seconds or it evaporates.
Mhm.
I just and maybe I'm showing my age here, and if I do, I don't care. But the point is, I just think that we get off of that instead of maybe rein that in just a skosh to keep moving forward. And it's
Yeah, I
all
mean,
about the
there's a
food.
tribe for everyone, right? I mean, like that's what you're describing is that's me. That's I can cook that, right? I'm just the girl like that didn't have a culinary background that just wanted to throw something on the grill and it got more interesting to me as the years went on. And so I started learning more. I started trying to get some of the science behind it. But I think pellet grills are really for people that like it's okay if you don't know how to properly stack your briquettes. Like some people just want to plug in the machine and throw some good steaks on. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. What do you think, Leanne?
I agree 100%. Um, I do, however, I'm an old school barbecue person. And, I love pellets for convenience, but um, I love that real authentic smoke flavor. A lot of
Right.
people sometimes feel that it's too much smoke for their palate. So a pellet grill is perfect for them because it's light smoke. So
Yeah, and
again,
I'm
to
with
each
you. I
their
love
own,
that too. I
to each
love
their
the
own.
like everybody asks me, well, what do you use when you actually it's mesquite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I love it. I like the heavy smoke.
No, I think that's true. And I mean, I've got a very deep appreciation and affection for charcoal grilling, whether it's in, a Kamado style or a Weber kettle style or whatever you've got, open grates and all that stuff. I mean, I've done all that. We've all done all that.
Mhm.
But I think, like you said, Steph, people get home from work, they flick on the trigger, get it up to temp. They go change their clothes, maybe crack a beer or whatever they're doing, put the food on there, and in 45 minutes they're ready to eat or whatever they're doing. I mean, that's just an
Mhm.
example. But my
Yeah.
point is, I think the convenience of that, and I've also always said that about the gas grills.
Hmm.
You can go out there and you can get it up to temp in just a couple minutes. And if you want to cook a steak or a pork chop or whatever, you're
Yeah.
you're you're good to go. Not
Mhm.
everybody can come home and fire up the chimney and get the Weber kettle going in time to cook one steak or two.
Hmm.
They just it's time is really, I think, our most important asset anymore. That's just me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, not everyone can be a Leanne and a Jeff.
Uh, that
But I mean,
that
that's how I feel about the sous vide too. Like, honestly, I hope you don't like block me from ever coming back as a guest, but I can do a mean pair of ribs in a sous vide, like,
yeah,
and sear it, on the smoker when it's done. But I mean, some of the most even precision cooked ribs that you can do in a sous vide. It doesn't have the smoke quality as if you put them on a smoker, but to your point, Jeff, it's like people want convenience and
yeah,
they're sick of like having the same chicken dinner every single night.
yeah, absolutely. We're going to take one more break, come back and wrap up the show with Chef Steph and my dear friend and co-host, Ms. Leanne Whippen. Right after this, stay with us. Welcome back to the nation. I'm JT, along with Hall of Famer Leanne, television star extraordinaire. Unfortunately, she's a Buccaneers fan, but that's Baker Mayfield tried. I'll just say that. And we've got Chef Steph from I Can Cook That. Um, where, what are you doing? What are you coming out with this year, Steph?
I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't know. I do know. Now that I am mobile again, I want to start to do and I can cook that digital course teaching people, 101 type things. And my market is more for the novice
Yeah,
person. But yeah, I think I want to start doing some digital courses, everything from how do you butcher your own chicken to save money to how do I smoke some ribs or whatever it is.
sure, sure. I think that's a good idea. Um, I really
Well,
do.
everybody had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it has to hit home somewhere.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you found that when people interact with you and they watch your reels and they do all that and they'll send you a note or they'll make a comment, but what's the one thing that they seem to find that they really like about what you're doing? I'm not going to ask you what they don't like. I'm going to ask you what they do like.
Okay, we
So,
don't have that much time. Yeah, no, I think that it's my weird spin on classic flavors and making it quick. So like I really like to um, aside from like the 12-hour pork butter or that type of thing,
right.
some of my other meals, some of my other flavor profiles are really interesting spins on everyday classics, but also making them relatively quick and easy so you're not spending all day in the kitchen. And I think people really appreciate that because people are going back to work now that COVID's over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they are. Have you been affected by the fires? I know you're south of there, but
I mean, knock on wood, no, but it's just like, look at the footage up there and it's pretty much, hell on earth up there. I know Andrew Gruel and a couple other chefs are doing a lot of great work up there. So I've reached out to them and let them know if they need anything and, just a couple-hour drive away. But knock on wood, I've been lucky down here.
yeah, the footage I've seen, it looks kind of like Hiroshima.
Oh, it's just awful.
It's
Mhm.
pretty rough. I lived down there for a couple of years, and I remember all those places vividly. And of course, that was in college, and I've been back 100 times since. But
Mhm.
you're coming down I-5 and you go through Santa Clarita and that, and then you kind of go over the hill, and it looks like there's nothing left there for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrible. It's heartbreaking how many people have lost their homes. I wish there was more I could do.
Well, I think we'll figure it out how to help them. We
Hmm.
always do.
Yeah.
Um, Leanne, what have you got going? We Even though
I
we're
am I
partners
am
in,
going to be in Lakeland, Florida for the Florida State Barbecue Championship on Friday and Saturday. Let me see. I think that's the 24th and 25th. Cooking up some pork butts, just like you were talking about, giving out nice samples with Pit Boss. So I'll be out there for the whole weekend.
Nice.
oh,
How
very
Yeah.
far is
good.
that from where you are?
It's only about an hour and a half.
Oh,
I competed there a couple years ago. I've judged there. It's a really nice event. They have stuff going on all day Saturday. You can bring the kids. They have face painting, and I'm sure the weather will be nice as usual.
You,
It
you
might
do
be a
the
little chilly, but yeah.
hold on a
So
second, Steph. Leanne thinks anything below 85 is chilly. Okay.
yeah.
she's a smart lady.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
is. Yes, she is. But
Yeah, so
she showed up here when we were filming the cooking segments for that show, and she has her
I was
cute
freezing.
cute little pedal pushers on and stuff like that, or capri pants, whatever you want to call them. And it's sun's out, but it's only like 55 degrees, right?
Yeah.
And she's just standing there shaking while we're.
Yeah, it was bad for me. It was bad. But
Leanne,
um,
you get a
speaking
lot
of
of
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, where you are in Florida that it's always so warm. Do you get from novice grillers, do you get a lot of questions about how the warm weather impacts the time of your smoke and that type of thing? Or do people pretty much have that figured out in Florida?
Never weather related. I get questions from all over the country. I just had one, sorry to bother you, but what temperature should I bring my pork butt to? How long is it going to take to cook? And I'll ask them where they're from because, I grew up in Jersey and I know
yeah.
it's funny. I had a bullet and I had this green blanket and I would wrap it when it got cold out and I would call it the green monster when I would cook on it. But it definitely held the temp. It had burn marks on it all the time, but it definitely does affect your cook, as well as wind and rain and all that stuff, the elements. And that's the interesting part about barbecue. You get all kinds of things that can throw your cooks on or off.
Mhm.
Even I lived out in Colorado, and the altitude affects it. The
Mhm.
Frisco Barbecue State Championship, I remember that's when I was first learning about cooking with, the difference in altitudes. So it does make a big difference. And
But you don't get a lot of people asking you about it?
no, I do not. Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
Up here, we get a lot of moisture, of course.
Mhm.
Respectively, though, we're not the highest in the world as far as moisture. We get about 40 inches of rain a year, give or take. And there's other places in the country that get just that much, or rain and snow combined. But yeah, you learn about using the quilts, especially if it's very cold and dry. Uh, it can really affect the cook because most of the heat is going away trying to get warm itself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
And so, you do that up here, and a lot of people don't think about it, especially if they're working on a gas grill, but if they're working on a pellet or charcoal or something, they can
I
certainly
have my
affect.
smoker like in the perfect spot on my outside where I know the sun hits directly. So if I have to do a quick cook.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're out there in your, sunsuit and having a drink and watching the deal. Yeah, I could do
Yeah,
that.
there's worse things.
There is
Mhm.
worse things like that. Um, so last question, Steph, where would you like to be with your I can cook that career, say 5 years from now?
Ugh, you know, I would love to just be established and for it to be my main thing because right now it's still, a side growth
All
that
right.
I've been working on for I don't even like the last 15 years. So I think Jeff, we talked a little bit about me starting spaces on X. So between that and hopefully some digital courses and some digital downloads, because I really do believe we are in a digital world now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I can reach more people and help more people.
Okay. And where can they find you now? What's your websites and your Instagram? What do you go by, and give all that out
Okay,
again?
great. Thank you. So my website, I just launched a special area. The store is not active yet, but it will be active next week. Some of my most popular requested recipes, the recipe that is in Andrew Gruel's Calico Fish House restaurant. So some very VIP. It's called the Chef's Pantry, and you can get that on my website. It's www.icancookthat.com. And then at the top of the page, you see something called Chef's Pantry. So all of that VIP stuff will be in there. And then the usual players. You can find all my social on my website, Instagram, X, um, Facebook, you name it, I'm on it.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And Leanne, you're cranking out stuff all the time, I see.
Yeah, I got YouTube and then Instagram, Facebook, all the usual stuff. I'm trying to do more videos with pig powder involved because I really haven't focused on that. That's one of my goals this year. A lot of people buy it, and they ask me, well, what else can I use it on? So I'm hoping to do some more of that video content this year.
Yeah.
What do you find that most people gravitate? What's their go-to with that pig powder? Is it just pork or sweet potatoes or seafood?
It's really multifaceted. I have a team. I have teams that use it, and they will send me what awards they've won with it. I have people that say, "Oh, I just tried it on scrambled eggs. It's delicious." You know, it's so user friendly. On so many different things that
Mhm.
I get a lot of thank yous. Thank
I
Yeah.
you.
bet.
I love
It's so
this.
good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So,
I'm putting it in my curry tonight.
oh,
So
great,
Well, there you
fantastic.
go. There you go. We got to get out of here. We're a little over time. So Chef Steph, hopefully she'll stick around for a few minutes. This is going to be a very unorganized after hours, I will tell you. But Steph, thanks for joining us. Leanne, thank you, my dear, for always being at my side here.
Thanks for having me.
Marvin, thanks for watching out the studio today.
Marvin the cat.
Marvin the cat. He's my studio guard cat.
Oh,
And yeah. And we'll be back next week at some point with another edition of Barbecue Nation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go out, have some fun, cook something, and remember our motto here: cook it, turn it, don't burn it. Not cook it, don't cook it. Turn it, don't burn it. Take care. Everybody, welcome to After Hours on the Nation. I'm JT, along with Leanne Whippen and Chef Steph today. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Mhm.
What's the most important thing, Steph, that you think you've learned as far as barbecue or smoking or grilling in the last 5 years?
What's the most important? Don't burn it.
Don't burn it. Yeah, there you go.
Make sure the house stays intact. No, I think we were talking about this earlier, weather. Like I've really been playing around with how different weather patterns change things up a little bit, whether it's if it's super sunny or even if it's just windy. I mean, I know I'm in California, we don't get like the ice and the snow, but we do definitely get some winds. We get some cooler evenings, we get some hotter days. So I think weather and also just expanding my barbecue knowledge. So I've been messing around with smoking prime rib, which is something I never would have attempted a couple of years ago. So probably just branching out.
That's a good thing you're doing with the prime rib. I do it every Christmas here, and works out pretty well.
Mhm.
What does your husband think of all this?
I don't know. He's probably one of my biggest fans. I mean, he thinks if anyone can do it, that I can do it. And you just gotta appreciate having someone in your corner. And
Yeah.
he eats well, I mean, at the end of
Right.
the day, he eats pretty good.
I think one of the funniest things that I ever happened, I was not completely, but kind of helping cater an event for a radio station that I was involved with. And it was at the general manager's house. And he had done a great spread. And I was basically there to cook the steaks and everything else, but I brought a couple of sides in like this. And so my wife went with me, and she was sitting there at the table kind of talking to another lady, and a couple of the people, the staff, walked up and said, "Do you eat like this all the time?" And she got, well,
Mhm.
they said, "You're Jeff's wife." And she said, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you eat like this all the time?" She said, "Depending on his mood, but generally, yes," like that. And I actually took that as a compliment.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I remember to kind of elaborate on your question, like a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to start making ricotta, and I was like, I think I want to start making ricotta. He's like, no, because he's thinking it would be cheese hanging everywhere. He didn't know it would be like 4-man ricotta, 3 ingredients over the stove. But yeah, now he loves ricotta. So
Well, there you go. So I want to know something too. You said this before the top of the show, or before the regular show. Tell us about your stand-up career in
um,
comedy. Let
Mhm.
find it first here.
It was a long time ago, and full transparency, I was married to a man that said, you're cute and all, but you could never do that. And I was like, oh, okay, it's on.
Don't
So,
forget you can swear on this episode now too.
oh, okay. And so, I did a couple open mic nights just to say, I did it. And then it turned out to be like a 6-year thing. I opened for Bruce Baum and, a couple, Tommy Davidson and a couple other people. And yeah, it just turned out to be a lot of fun. I like to make people laugh.
Did it why did you stop?
I moved to California and it became I had a comedian one night steal my act. like right before I went on. And so at that point, I was kind of like, okay, nobody's really doing it for the love, at least that I could see. It was all very cutthroat. And being a Midwest girl, I'm not really, it wasn't really what I was looking for.
Right.
So I just stopped.
Okay. Well, just you heard it here first on Barbecue Nation
Mhm.
After Hours that Steph was a stand-up comedian.
Yes.
So
So if I make you laugh while I cook, now you know.
there you go. I think we need a lot more humor in our
We
lives right now.
do.
Leanne, what have you ever tried stand-up?
No, I think it seems like it's really difficult. I
It's
mean,
therapy.
yeah, but I mean, I've seen the way they study and how they have to roll one joke into the other. And it seems like, they have to tie it all together at the end. It seems very difficult to me because it's work and you have to make it funny and seem off the cuff. And no, I've never done it, but I would never would. It seems difficult. And
I
I
think
can't
you
remember a joke to save my life. So I'd be really bad at it.
oh, I think you'd be good at it.
I
Me
don't
too.
think
If
so.
you can pull together a barbecue the way you do, you can tell some jokes.
I
Yeah,
don't
you can
know.
do it. You can do it. And it's all, current stuff or personal stuff. Those are
Mhm.
usually the topics. And yeah,
Yeah.
you could do that. You could do
Okay.
that. See,
All
if
right.
I can make it in the radio world, you can do stand up, Leanne.
Okay. All right. I'll get
Yeah.
that in writing. We'll see how that goes. Do you notice how dark the screen is?
It
Yes.
is dark.
Yes.
The sun is setting here.
Oh,
And it keeps like doing weird stuff. I was like,
so
wow,
it is
how
about
dark
that
it
time,
is.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I sent you an Oregon State flag, will you hang it on your trailer instead of that Buccaneers
Well, I'm
flag?
trying to sell my trailer. That's why I have the picture up there. I thought you might say something about
Yeah.
it. So after all the years of barbecuing on it, yeah, I'm downsizing. So it is for sale with a Jed Master on it, full on 3 compartment sink, refrigeration. It's a nice trailer. It's got AC, brand new roof on it, 10-year transferable warranty, 15K. Can't beat it. Great starter for, without spending a lot of money on an RV.
See,
So,
Steph, there you go. It's all,
yep,
Yeah.
it's all set up for you.
yep.
Yeah. That might be a little much for my driveway.
Well, you need a big truck to tow it. Oh, and the truck's for sale too.
Oh.
This is Leanne's after hours sales
And
Yeah.
does it come
dialogue here.
stocked with pig powder?
No, it does not, but I'll give
Oh,
you a
no.
discount.
I
I'll
was
give you
I
a
was so
discount.
close.
Yeah, yeah. That's all good. Have you ever thought about competing, Steph?
Yes, I have, and I would, and I've done some like competitions for contests and things that I've won. So I've won Melissa's Produce, I won Pit Boss one year. But that was like online stuff and that type of thing. If I had an opportunity, I don't know how well I would do because obviously I would be competing against some really heavy hitters, but I would do it for the experience. And I mean, you never know, stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's your absolute favorite thing you've ever created? Doesn't have to be barbecue, can be anything you want as far as food.
Gosh. I would say I really like my Asian flank tacos just because they're weird, and they're easy. And I also came up with because nobody likes making a roux and everybody complains, like, and half the people are intimidated by it. So I came up with a stabilizer a flourless stabilizer that uses mustard as an emulsifier to help keep sauces together. And I really, I'm kind of proud of that one.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. I actually, I think it was a year or so ago, you'd been on the show that fall, and then I reached out to you and you had a recipe. And honest, forgive me because I don't remember which one I did, but I called you and asked you if I could use one of your recipes on TV, and you said yes,
Mhm.
and they really loved it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I
Um,
gave you credit. I gave you credit. I give Leanne credit,
Oh, me
and
too.
when I steal stuff from her. But yeah, it was an some sort of Asian. It was an Asian chicken type thing. I remember.
Okay. Oh, it
So
might have been my sticky wings, my Asian. Yeah.
yeah, it was. It was.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm so glad.
Yeah, it was all good, and I gave you credit for it. So it's all like that. I think we got to get out of here, and I'm sorry to cut everybody short today, but I've got to go someplace. Not that anybody cares. Marvin, don't get up. And but Steph, we want to thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
having me.
Yeah.
I hope to see you guys again soon.
You will,
Yeah.
you will. And Leanne, you've got a busy time coming up, I know, and
Yeah, and then it's gonna be barbecue season.
it's gonna be barbecue season. Imagine
Mhm.
that.
Already.
I know.
It's
And
crazy.
don't forget, this show will probably drop on Friday. If you're not doing anything and you just happen to be in Mississippi, run down to Ocean Springs to the Shed. The NBBQA has their convention. It'll be the last day on Saturday, but there's also an SCA cook-off there. And I did a real short. It didn't go out over the radio network, but I did a short piece with Brett Galloway, one of the founders. Him and Ken Phillips are the founders of SCA, and it's very interesting. So a lot of fun stuff going on down there. But we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great week. Go out and have some fun, cook something good. And remember, turn it, don't burn it. Take care, everybody.